And ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy has more on that. Mick, earlier this week, the Secretary of State denied telling senators that Russia developed the original peace plan. Now you have this leaked call that people are saying shows the Trump administration's favoring Russia here. Do you think those concerns are justified?
So, Diane, just looking at the original 28-point plan, I think the concerns are justified that whoever wrote that, or the Russians, or maybe even more problematic, the U.S. side, wrote that basically in line with all of Russia's talking points and preferences. I think Secretary Rubio becoming involved obviously changed the dynamics. The framework is now down to 19, apparently much more in line with Ukrainian and European and NATO concerns. So hopefully that is the current plan, but openly advocating for one side as a negotiator makes you essentially an advocate, not a negotiator. And it might be prudent on the U.S. side to ensure that Russia understands that we are at worst for them neutral, but at best for Ukraine, an advocate for Ukraine. Ultimately, they are our partner, they are a democracy, and they have gotten our support since the beginning of this conflict, which was unlawfully started by Russia.
And Mick, in terms of these calls, the White House says this is standard negotiating procedure. Is that true in your experience? And is it possible they're having the same conversations with Ukraine?
I think what's true to say is negotiators often talk about what the other side is going to want to see to try to help get through a lot of the issues before putting them face to face. I haven't heard of a negotiator talking to one side about how to talk to it. So how to talk to the United States, how to convince the United States of their perspective. We're a negotiator. We're an advocate, yes, for Ukraine, though, not Russia. So this is, if true, and I don't know that they are, but if true, these reports indicates that this needs to change as far as the U.S. perspective on what the role of a negotiator when trying to end a war that Russia illegally started against a partner of the United States.
Witkoff allegedly says in this call that this is the quote, "I know what it's going to take to get a peace deal done, Donetsk and maybe a land swap somewhere." What do you make of the suggestion that Ukraine would have to surrender land to Russia to get a peace deal done? Again, assuming that he did say that.
Well, if he was talking to Russia, perhaps he was simply saying what they would want to see. And of course, they want to see more land given to them as a concession for a ceasefire. But I think what's important to point out is Ukraine just can't do this. The leadership of Ukraine can't just do this. It has to go through a referendum. And they fought for years to avoid just that. And of course, our European partners and NATO at large is going to be very concerned about appeasing Russia by giving them land for their unlawful activities. It could simply inspire them to continue into Moldova, other countries, even NATO countries. This is something that I think from the West side, so the US, Ukraine, and Europe needs to be worked out first, and then Russia needs to be given the plan that's been agreed to and told that they need to enter a ceasefire so that they can start negotiations, or there'll be consequences of Russia. If we're simply going to keep writing what Russia would like to see, it seems like it's going to be essentially an exercise in futility because Ukraine can't accept, especially if you went back to the original 28-point plan, it would essentially ensure that they're attacked again, quite frankly, and that they are in a very vulnerable position when they are eventually attacked. But the 19-point plan apparently changed that. So that's an important point to highlight.
All right, Mick Mulroy, always great to have you break it down for us. Thank you.